Hey gang, welcome back to Hey Bill, What Day Is It? You're probably wondering why I'm dressed like this today. It's because this is my favorite day of the year. Each year on April 8th, National Zoo Lovers Day encourages us to explore our local zoos. Every year, millions of people visit zoos and learn about the many animals that live there, and I'm just the one to help you with this journey because I happen to be a docent and a tour guide at a wildlife center here in North Texas. But more on that later. Anytime I'm going to spend some time in a new city, I always try to look up their local zoo. This has led me to explore all kinds of zoos in North America, South America, Europe, Canada, and the Caribbean. My collection of zoo coffee mugs and patches keeps growing every year. This one is from the Nashville Zoo. Then there's the Caldwell Zoo in Tyler, Texas. And the Frank Buck Zoo in Gainesville, Texas. There's the Knoxville Zoo in Knoxville, Tennessee. And the Tennessee Aquarium. And our favorite is Fossil Rim Wildlife Center in Glen Rose, Texas. I also have countless photographs in my collection to show anyone who's willing to sit down for a few minutes. Here's a few. While we were in Europe, we visited a zoo near Essen, Germany, and they had red wolves and all kinds of different animals on display. One of the favorite exhibits at the Fort Worth Zoo is the lions. Here's a picture of tigers at Disney's Animal Kingdom in Orlando, Florida. The St. Louis Zoo is known for its bears. They have big black ones and big white ones. In the Knoxville, Tennessee Zoo, we observed their collection of red pandas, as well as their gorillas. We saw many small animals at a zoo in Willemstad, on the Netherlands Antilles island of Curacao in the Caribbean. The Caldwell Zoo in Tyler, Texas has a wonderful elephant habitat. The Dallas Zoo has a great collection of hippopotamus. I could go on forever, but this show is too short to cover everything I've seen. But first, let's explore a few zoo facts. Did you know that the oldest zoo in the world is in Vienna, Austria? It was opened to the public in 1765. The United States' first public zoo, the Central Park Zoo in New York, opened in 1874. There are 350 zoos in the United States, and approximately 175 million people visit them each year. Disney's Animal Kingdom has had more than 9.8 million annual visitors, and more than 3.2 million people visit the San Diego Zoo each year. The Association of Zoos and Aquariums, or the AZA, is the top accrediting organizations in the zoo world. Their accreditation criteria are based on the quality of the zoo exhibits and not the quantity. There are currently 240 different wildlife exhibit organizations that are accredited by this agency. Make sure you look for the AZA logo when you start looking for zoos and aquariums to visit. You can look on their website listed below to find a list of accredited zoos. Zoos have changed drastically over the past few decades. Instead of rows of barred cages for the animals, most zoos are divided up into habitats, which mimic the natural habitats of the animals. They may have trees, foliage, climbing structures, and water features to keep the animals challenged and entertained. The animals also have much larger areas to explore than they did in the 70s and 80s. Most zoos are involved in preservation and conservation of many species that are rapidly becoming extinct. Everything from the Atwater's prairie chicken to rhinoceros and giraffe are falling victim to poachers who have no regard for the value of these species to our global ecosystem. I think my passion started for world's animals began during my childhood growing up in St. Louis, Missouri. The St. Louis Zoo began as an exhibit in the Louisiana Purchase Exposition in 1904. This zoo has thrived and grown over the past 127 years and is still one of the only zoos in the nation with free admission. Just think, both the zoo and the ice cream cone came out of that exhibition in 1904. Lots of good things. Now back to my favorite zoo, Fossil Rim Wildlife Center in Glen Rose, Texas. My wife and I have been tour guides and docents there for the past 9 years and have conducted hundreds of tours in their comfy tour vehicles. While the facility was open as a self-driving tour in 1984, guided tours were added. You can still drive yourself through the park, but a tour is the best way to view and learn about the animals. In 1986, Fossil Rim was accredited by the AZA as the first non-traditional zoo, meaning the animals roam free and you are in the cage. This accreditation has been renewed every 5 years right up to today. Fossil Rim has been instrumental in protecting and preserving many endangered species. They've been successful in breeding the white rhinoceros, which is highly endangered due to poaching for their horn, which certain cultures mistakenly treasure for its supposed medicinal values. Let's face it though, their horn is made up of the same substance as our fingernails, which have no curative properties. Other species which have benefited from the preservation efforts at Fossil Rim are the American red wolf, the Mexican gray wolf, cheetah, giraffe, and the Atwater's prairie chicken. The scimitar-horned oryx had been declared extinct in the wild until recently when Fossil Rim took part in their reintroduction in Chad, after years of successful breeding here in Texas. I'm told that they're doing well and reproducing in their new home, or their old home, or their new old home, or whatever it is. If you're planning on visiting Fossil Rim, you need to go to their website listed below in order to make reservations. The COVID-19 restrictions have caused them to limit the number of guests on the property, so you're required to buy your tickets in advance. The website also has other valuable information that you'll be needing during your visit. Protection of the species is a great idea. Even God took part in species preservation when he told Noah to take at least 2 of all species into the ark before the great flood. I think if God was that interested in the survival of all the animals, we should be too. God is also concerned with your survival in heaven with him. That's why he sent his son Jesus to die on the cross, so that our sins could be forgiven. You can be instrumental in the preservation of these species as well by visiting Fossil Rim and other such facilities which do so much for endangered species. You can also be instrumental in preserving your own soul by visiting your local church to learn more about Jesus, God's Son, and what he's done for you. I'm Bill Wasore, and this is Hey Bill, What Day Is It? Now get out there and visit your local zoo and stop in at your local church too. I think you'll find both visits to be beneficial. Have a triumphant day.